Welcome to the Lifestyle First podcast, discussing lifestyle medicine and making self-care as easy as 1, 2, 3. One question, 2 research reviews, and 3 actionable health tips, all centered around the Lifestyle First method, your blueprint for the 10 key routes of optimal health and happiness. And now your host, lifestyle medicine physician and coach, Dr. Alka Patel.
Hello and welcome to Series 6, Episode 4 of the Lifestyle First podcast. So the theme that we're focusing on today is exercise. And the one question that we're asking is it possible to snack on exercise? And to answer that, I would like to introduce you to my guest today, who is Lauren Parsons, TEDx speaker with TEDx Oneota, and her talk was Snack on Exercise. Now, Lauren is a wellbeing specialist from New Zealand. She's author of Real Food, Less Fuss. She's host of the Thrive TV show, and she's founder of the Snack on Exercise movement. So Lauren, I am so delighted to be speaking to you today. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's fantastic to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. So snack on exercise. I love that term. What a beautiful phrase. But what is this concept all about? Tell us about it.
Well, it is what I shared in my TED Talk, and it really came from for the last 20 years, people have been telling me the biggest barrier to exercise is I don't have enough time. And so it was really when I did further study into exercise and physiology and how the body actually works. And I started thinking about daily routines and the fact that we would never go for days or weeks or months without brushing our teeth. And so if that's 2 minutes morning and night, what if we could take 4 little minutes every day and commit to snacking on exercise? Not just look after that small part of your body, but to look after your entire body. And so the idea is, could you commit to doing 4 minutes? And ideally, actually not even 4 minutes in a row, but maybe 1 minute when you wake up, 1 minute mid-morning, 1 minute at lunchtime, and 1 in the afternoon. And these micro exercise little bursts, they can boost your brain power, make you more creative, more focused, better at work. They boost your mood, which we know is hugely important for mental health. And they also, science shows us, they also improve our health overall. Yeah, gosh, absolutely. So great concept. So I was actually looking at the research behind this, and there were actually 2 pieces of research that I looked at that I wanted to chat about with you when thinking about the duration of beneficial exercise. One was a systematic review that I looked at of physical activity, which was for the prevention of depression, because we've talked about mood. And this particular review was published in the American Journal of Preventative Medicine. And what it actually suggested was that physical activity of any duration prevents depression. And that really kind of tags into what you're saying, because I think it's really important that, for example, when I see patients with depression or low mood, one of the key features is I don't feel like doing anything. It's enough effort to get out of bed, let alone think about exercise. And yet we know that exercise is so beneficial. So it's just about kind of sparking that smallest amount of energy that you need to get all those benefits, which you've highlighted. So that's sort of really useful. But the second piece of research is what you highlighted in your TED Talk, which was about the sprint group versus the steady group. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Yes, sure. Yeah, and absolutely. Just to link back to that, the great thing about exercise, it has such a clear link to helping prevent and alleviate depression. So that is huge. And I just want to make the point as well to say that I'm not saying you should stop at just 4 minutes. The idea is this as a concept to help people get started and to then realize, maybe I could just go for a walk for 5 minutes, and then maybe I'll go for 7 minutes, and maybe I'll go a little further. So it is about trying to grow that, because we don't need to put a cap on it, but it's about getting started, because longer exercise can give even more benefits as well, particularly for mental health. Yeah, but this study that I shared that's really was mind-blowing to me to understand was where they had 2 groups and they got them to cycle on stationary bikes. One group cycled for 50 minutes, so almost an hour at a steady, constant rate, and they did that 3 times a week. And the other group did short sprints. Just picture sprinting for 20 seconds, flat out as fast as you can. And they did that just 3 times, 3 20-second sprints with a warm-up cool down. So it was 10 minutes total time. And they did that 3 times a week. And what they found when they compared the results for both groups was that the benefits in terms of fat loss, cardiovascular fitness, muscle adaptation, and insulin sensitivity were virtually identical. So the gains were actually virtually identical, which is kind of amazing when you think that the steady group were training for almost an hour, 150 minutes over the week, and the sprint group really only did 1 minute of actual effort, 3 20-second sprints. So it's amazing to see those physical benefits, and then to layer on top of that the mood benefits, the productivity benefits to see in the workplace. So I really think this idea is something that if we could understand and shift our paradigms to realise, I don't have to do a workout for half an hour or an hour to see the benefit, it's going to help to free a whole lot of people up to overcome that time barrier.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I think that study was quite small. It was just, about 19 or 20 people in there, wasn't it? But the results were pretty clear, weren't they? That actually time no longer needs to be the barrier. So, it often is that big blocker, isn't it? Or is it actually the excuse rather than the actual blocker? But I think you've very well highlighted that we no longer need to be thinking about time as that barrier. So what do your clients say, the people that you are sort of encouraging to snack on exercise? What's the feedback been around in the real world? What the benefits have been for them? What they know?
Probably the biggest thing I keep hearing in similar veins is people saying, oh, you've taken my excuses away, Lauren. I can recall one client, Anna, who rushed up to me and said, Lauren, you've taken away all my excuses. She had a baby and a toddler. And she said, after I had the kids, I never thought that I would get my fitness back. But now when Ben needs a change, then I just get down and do some push-ups at the same time. And when Kyla asks to dance, then I say yes, and I just join in. And she said it's working. She said that she was just feeling healthier and fitter, stronger and happier than before, just by fitting in these little movements. I've had administrators and officers that have said when they first heard the idea, they thought it was really bizarre and they thought no one would go for it. It would never work in the office. And then someone initiated it and said, come on, guys, let's do this. So they all got up and did a little movement snack, and then they got back to work as if nothing had happened. But something had happened, because suddenly now they were all actually physiologically more alert, more switched on. The learning centers in their brain had been activated, so they could actually be more creative and more accurate and more productive. Yeah. So there's across a range of areas, people can apply this at home and at work.
No, I think that's, again, such an important interface to think about as well, because it's a real cross interface at the moment as well, isn't it? Home and work, the workplace, the home environment. So certainly something that you can take with you everywhere. It's not even environment dependent either. And I love that notion of bringing it into the workplace for sure. I mean, I'm standing at my stand-up desk at the moment, and I can absolutely balance. Yeah. And once you do that, then the idea of kind of sitting down, it's even less appealing, isn't it? And you're so right. The agility you get, not just physical, but that mental agility is incredible. And I absolutely can vouch for the creativity and productivity of being on my feet. Really does make a difference. So, and I'm sure you found the same yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, no, exactly. And it's I do have a stand-up desk. This is where I work from day to day. And it's just to give you people an idea of what I mean. It's things like when you boil the kettle to make a cup of tea, just do some squat reaches, or maybe even some squat jumps, in the kitchen or in the staff room. It's lunge walk to the photocopier, I often say to big offices, and they will have a laugh, but actually some people do it. So it's thinking about how can you add in, do some push-ups on the edge of your kitchen counter or your bench, just for a few seconds at a time. You can actually get your heart rate up without having to get a sweat up, which probably you don't want when you're throughout the middle of your day, but you can actually just peak your mood and peak your heart rate, and that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll find me when I am brushing my teeth, I tend to do kind of calf raises, and that is literally how I start my day every day. Yeah. We should have done this throughout this conversation, shouldn't we?
Contagious, yeah.
Absolutely. But I guess if you look at the bigger picture, more needs to happen, doesn't it? There really needs to be this shifting culture of not feeling awkward when you're the only one standing up in your workplace, or not having eyes on you when you are watching that kettle boil at work and kind of doing your bench presses on the worktop. What do you think needs to happen in terms of that, big culture shift?
Well, I think that's really clear to me, and that is that leaders really need to embrace this. So the work that I do, I focus on workplace wellbeing now, and I love seeing leaders that are actually okay to dare to be different, to actually create disruption, because I think disruption, when it happens to you, it can feel negative, but when you lead that disruption, that's positive change. So leaders that can see, hey, we want to have a positive, energized workplace, we're going to make it the norm actually for people to get up from their desk. I hear of lots of workplaces where they have standing desks, but everyone just keeps them on sitting mode and things like that. They can creep in, and cultural norms are just what's always been done, but they can be shifted. So where leaders condone it and make that the norm, and that flows down for then their team members and their teams around them to know that it's normal to get up. Maybe they do introduce the little gold bell where someone rings it once a day and you all get up and have a snap-on exercise. Or leaders choosing to start a meeting with a game or an energizer or some brain gym, something that's getting your body moving, so that when you go into that meeting space, you're actually ready to do that creative problem solving that you need. Or perhaps you don't even go into a room, you go outdoors, or you have some walking meetings and use technology to take notes by dictaphone. So I think it's challenging the ideas of, kind of the caged hen mentality, or the, people just being chained to their desks, and actually embracing how can we work in a more human way that's going to empower humans to actually thrive and to be able to move, to be able to play, to be able to laugh throughout the day in the workspace. So we're actually in a better state physiologically and psychologically.
And I think you're describing fun as well, aren't you? Is actually just lighten the load a little, and movement, standing, expending energy, it all creates that as well, don't you? Instead of kind of going into this boardroom and sitting down and it's all very, stereotyped and strategy focused, is actually, I think you mentioned this in your talk, we are more productive if we stand. So why aren't we doing our best work standing? And we need to be standing when we're in those boardrooms or in those meetings and all sorts of other places as well. And it's again, just making it fun, having those challenges at work, sharing kind of ideas and things as well. So I think you're right. I think the cultural shift will come when it starts to be embraced and acknowledged by leaders, by managers, and actually kind of add an element of connection into the workplace as well.
Yes, and we don't necessarily want to stand all day either. We want to break it up. We want that variety. So, but it's just at those critical moments, the way that you start a meeting, for example, is a critical moment in your day. It's a critical leadership moment. So, yeah, I know of many leaders that are doing that, and organisations that are adopting that snack-on exercise philosophy, and it's really enduring over several years, and it's amazing seeing that continue through.
And what got you started then, Lauren? What was the sort of trigger to even start thinking about this as a concept, as a movement, as what's now become, really centrepiece for what you do? What started it all off for you?
Well, multiple things. One was that experience that I shared in the TED talk of being a manager in a fitness centre and yet feeling that I was too busy to exercise, which was really terrible, and rather ironic, because I was supposed to be setting the example for our members and for our team, but I was just chained to my office, just looking at spreadsheets and thinking about training and staff issues. And so when I discovered that you could actually train every muscle in your body in just 3 exercises, if you do a good compound push pattern, a pull pattern, and a leg pattern, I created a little workout that only took a few minutes, and I very quickly saw huge progress. And I thought, wow, how many other people are being trapped by myths around exercise, where they feel like, I've got to do an hour and I've got to go to the gym and get changed, and all of these constraints and barriers. The other thing that a lot of people don't know that, because I haven't shared this very often, the other thing that triggered the idea of creating a movement was there's an organisation in the States called Run Streakers. Now, it's not about people running naked across footy matches, but it's about running in a continuous streak day after day after day, at least running 1 mile a day without breaking your streak. And the interesting thing is there are people that have done this for decades. There's actually a leaderboard, you can Google it. And I believe that it's Jim who's perhaps number 1, and he's done over 43 years of running at least 1 mile, 1.6 kilometres every day without fail. As soon as you miss a day, you miss that streak. And so that got me thinking, well, what if people could, in a similar fashion, just commit to doing 4 minutes of any type of movement? It doesn't have to be on a stationary bike, by the way. It's just take that concept from the research and then think, what could I do that's going to either strengthen my muscles or get my heart rate up? And so I think that concept of, or can we commit to taking action? Because I know you always talk about health as a verb. That's your amazing TED talk on that concept. We can't just sit back. We've got to actually take action to see the positive results.
Yeah, I love that actually, because what you've described with that kind of the streak concept is very much about creating habits, isn't it? And actually, if it just becomes an automated habit, like you say, like brushing your teeth, then you're not even thinking about it. You're just actually doing it. There's no need for that self-control. There's no need to kind of think about when, where, how. You're just automated, and that comes from that regularity and that persistent, and it just becomes part of your way of life, part of your lifestyle. So really like that. Thank you for sharing that.
And now here is your lifestyle first prescription, your 3 activating actions to take you from knowing to doing.
I'd love you if you could share with us 3 takeaways, 3 actions that people can take after listening today.
Okay. Well, number 1 would be, I would invite everyone listening in to try out this snack on exercise philosophy, this concept. And what if you could commit to just doing, say, for the next week, for 7 days, fitting in at least 4 minutes of movement into your day. It could be 1 minute at a time. So it could be doing push-ups on the kitchen counter, could be having a dance party, could be skipping. You can skip without a rope. I quite like that because you never get tripped up. Could be anything at all that gets your heart rate up. Could be just going for a brisk walk around your section or around the block, something that's going to get your heart rate up or strengthen your muscles. So I'd invite everyone to commit to that 4 minutes a day. And the second thing is to just to take notice of how you feel immediately after that micro movement break. So let's say, you might be working at your desk during the day or doing whatever your key task is, and then just to step away, just for 30 seconds, 60 seconds to move and breathe and maybe add some laughter and some fun and play in there and maybe even get outdoors, but to do something that's a change of state that gets you moving, and then just to tune in and see how you feel, because I'd be really interested, and you can feel free to message me, connect with me on LinkedIn or anywhere on socials. Let me know, did it make a difference for you? Because it's when people do reach out and let me know what a difference it's made and how it's overcome their barriers, that just makes my day. So thank you in advance if you can do that. So that would be the first 2. Try it out. Second is tune in and see how that makes you feel. And then the third is that I would actually love for anyone listening to be a champion in your workplace to see, could you start to introduce the snack on exercise concept? Feel free to watch the full TED talk. If you've got 17 minutes of your life you'd like to dedicate to that, I'd be so grateful, because if you love that idea and you can share it with the leaders and your colleagues around you and try it out together, then no one feels like the silly person doing it on their own in their little cubicle. And that's why I love working with teams, because if I shared it with you, you might think, oh, that's a great idea, but your motivation will wane as you feel like you're the odd one out. Whereas if your whole team is on board with the snack on exercise idea, and maybe you start every team meeting with a little movement break, or maybe you do it after lunch every day in that afternoon slump. If you can do that as a team, it's going to make it a lot more stickable and much more part of your routine. Make it the norm to head up the stairs rather than to push the button on the elevator, because it really does come down to your day-to-day habits. And if you've got colleagues and people around you giving it a go, you'll be much more likely to stick with it. So try it out, see how it feels, and see if you can introduce it in your workplace.
Fabulous. So 3 very key things that people can, I think, very readily do. Just being excited about the concept actually will get you moving as well, won't it? So Lauren, thank you so much. What's the best way to find out more about you? I'm sure people will want to get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, also on Facebook, Lauren Parsons Wellbeing, or just head to the website. That's laurenparsonswellbeing.com.
Perfect. Wonderful. So I will make sure that all of your links, including to your fantastic TED Talk, they will be in the description so people can very easily get in touch with you. And I think with that, then that just leaves me to say thank you very much, of course, and to bring this week's episode to a close. So for all those listening, I would, of course, love you to subscribe and share this channel so that you too can be instrumental in helping spread messages of health that matter. And that now leaves me simply, as always, to wish you a happy, healthy day.
Thanks for joining us on the Lifestyle First podcast, making self-care as easy as 1, 2, 3. Don't forget to subscribe and share. and we'd love it if you'd be kind enough to leave a review. To learn more or to arrange a consultation, please visit www.dralkapatel.com. See you next time.